Today at Texas's North Lake College, a person shot another person before committing suicide, leaving both of them deceased. At the time this story came out, we were not told of many details, and there was currently no background as to why this happened. So, usually when we get these events, I tend to go after the political figures that are in charge and what their response is in the case of this incident. But instead, I have to remind myself Texas is a state that favors individuals having firearms, and I wouldn't give them as much, I guess, flack as I would California for having ineffective gun laws, while San Bernardino has two incidents, and we're already familiar with the different crimes that have been committed over here. But what's disturbing to me is that there was apparently a police presence there, and we always talk about, oh, the good guy with the gun can beat the bad guy with the gun. Well, students, you would think, would not bring weapons on them just to have weapons just in case. And if we have to get to a point in our society where that is the norm, we must equip ourselves with all of this protection and pray that we don't have to use the weapon, while also embracing uh, asking no questions first and just responding immediately to any seeming threat. We're going to be in for a rude awakening in the next, give it 10, 20 years. And it has to do with the fact that for far too long have we had these disasters, because that's what this is, um, where one individual just shakes up the news cycle of the day. And then come the next day, we're not even talking about that story anymore. As I sit here describing the North Lake College shooting, as it'll probably be called, 3 weeks from now, how else are we going to hear about it? Who else is going to be talking about it? I don't think anyone will. And it's not because it's a boring story by any means. It's because the public does not have a sustained interest in it as a result of the media not having a sustained coverage of it. And I get every day you can't talk about the same thing, but we can talk about the victims' families, the impact it's having on them, and really show the concern that a lot of us would theoretically have if it was us. Because we always do this thing where after a major incident happens involving the loss of a loved one, that person's family comes out and everyone's tearing up and emotional, and everyone has their sympathy card out. But then come the next day, that person goes back to their normal life, now deprived of their loved one, and everybody else goes back to their normal life, thinking about that person maybe for the exact immediate day after. You give it 6 or 7 or 14, 21 days, it's like it never happened. I'm not trying to blame this can't befall one person other than the shooters who choose to go out and commit these heinous crimes. But it needs to be realized that if we don't do something to stop this, it's going to keep happening. We can stop this. We definitely can stop this. Don't allow anyone to tell you that we're just going to live in a society where everyone's going to get shot and we're not going to do anything about it because we can't do anything about it. We can. It's just the gun lobbyers pay out these politicians, and they allow for this stuff to happen since it doesn't affect them. They put out some nonsense statement of sympathy, but then introduce no legislation on how to correct this. They don't make any direct response to these incidents besides a public statement that they likely didn't even compose themselves prior to their office. That's a serious problem with society, because it says to you that no matter how many of these things happen, no matter how many people they kill, it won't matter to the individuals in government until they're affected by it. Now, I hope none of them ever are, because nobody wants to have this experience. But we need a care, concern, and compassion for the loved ones of these victims, and also people who are not here anymore that could still be here were it not for a person with a firearm.